Here is entitled Parshat Vayera, dealing with suffering. Moshe sees that his plans to try to help out the Jewish people have backfired so far. And he says to God, this is certainly not what I was hoping for. I didn't want the leadership to begin with, and now that I've taken it, it's only made things worse. Vayera begins, Vayom Elav Ani Hashem, Ne'eman L'Shalem Sachar. I'm going to pay back the Jews in a proper way. There's a full picture over here, Moshe. Right now, I understand that you are suffering. They are suffering. You should suffer with them. You should sympathize with them. You should empathize with them. But there's a very big picture. And right now, you just don't see it. God, of course, sees the full picture. He's the master behind the whole thing. But Moshe doesn't have that perspective, as no human being can have that perspective. And it's an important point regarding suffering, that we go ahead and have the right perspective. And I think it's crucial we have that attitude before we suffer. If Chas v'Shalom, we are meant to suffer, I think if we come in with a healthy attitude, there may be a much greater chance to survive it. As a matter of fact, it's interesting. A lot of times when people are suffering, they say, I can't deal with it. Where's God? My relation with God is non-existent. It's hurting. It's faltering. He's not with me anymore. Well, this is a question that needs to be asked, a painful question. Before the suffering began, millions of people across the world are being destroyed. Genocide in Africa, Syria, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people exiled, kicked out of their homes. Homes are destroyed, lives are destroyed. They are killed, murdered, maimed. Fellow Jews in Israel, being knifed, being attacked, being killed. Somehow a person's faith seems to be all right. So why? If there's a philosophical question here, what's the difference, whether it's a person himself or it's a fellow Jew or a fellow human being? So it seems that when it doesn't hit home directly, a person understands there's a big, big picture. And I don't understand the whole picture. I don't understand why hundreds of thousands are being destroyed there. I don't understand why this beautiful Jew was killed in Tel Aviv and he was knifed in Yerushalayim to death. I don't understand that, but there is a full picture. But somehow when it hits home, it hits ourselves and our loved ones, and all of a sudden we're so emotionally distraught, it rules out, it blocks out the rational thinking that clearly understood things before, that there's a bigger picture, but now we're just blinded to it. And I think if we go ahead before we have the suffering and the pain and the challenge, and we come in realizing, wait, there's a big picture over here. Right now I'm not in pain, so I could see that big picture and understand that I only have a limited perspective. Tragedies happen, which I don't understand, but there is a bigger picture. There's a God that has that full perspective, and I understand that, and I humbly submit that I don't see it. If we have, and we are ingrained with that attitude before the suffering begins, I think then we can go ahead and survive it and understand, even when we're in the thick of it, we understand there's a bigger picture. And even as we're suffering, we understand that. Just a quote from Gentiles. I just recently read about the suffering of a Joey Feek. Her name not so recognized, but she's a country singer, very successful country singer. And she and her husband, Rory Feek, a popular couple, religious couple, Gentiles. And she was diagnosed with cancer a couple of years back. Tried surgery. They thought that it was working, and then they realized the last few months she was in terrible pain, and it was from the cancer spreading throughout the body. There's no hope at this point in terms of the laws of nature. They stopped all treatment, and their only goal is to try to keep her comfortable as she is in hospice care at home on their ranch, where she's going to die based on the laws of nature. The statements that they are coming out with, I think, should serve as a tremendous model for all of us. So he writes just a few of the lines from what he's been writing. He talks about how it spread throughout her body, and she's in tremendous pain, but thank God they had morphine that's be able to have it under control. And he says, this is not the answer we hoped for. We obviously hope for an answer that we could deal with the cancer and cure it, but the answer that God, has given us. That's a good, healthy attitude. And he writes different medications that did not work, did not help the pain at all. Heavy doses of morphine brought Joey sweet relief. And he writes, Baruch Hashem, she has relief. So here they are in the middle of the pain, and he really has this healthy perspective. He writes, the last couple of mornings I brought Indiana, that is their daughter, a Down syndrome daughter, which also they thank God for their daughter. with total joy and smiles. I have brought Indiana up here to spend time with her mama. Both of their eyes light up the moment they see each other. It's been beautiful. That's it. What do you mean she's dying? Your wife is dying. What's beautiful? It is a beautiful scene to see the daughter and the mom together. And right now, in this little world that they have, in the few days or weeks or months they have left, they'll be able to appreciate whatever little bit is there. And he finishes off that Joey, he writes about his wife, Joey is at peace with where she is and where she's going. And so am I. Kabbalat Hadin, accepting the judgment. Tziddik Hadin, God is righteous. We don't have the full perspective. And here you have religious Gentiles who do not have the exposure to our rich Masorah tradition that talks so much about Eov and about suffering and trying to give us a healthy perspective. But they have come to this healthy perspective. I think it certainly behooves us who are exposed to our beautiful Masorah. But we have to understand we don't see the full perspective. And just like when we are not suffering, we accept God, we accept His justice, and we know that there's a bigger picture that we don't always understand the details. So if chas v'shalom, the divine plan means that we have to suffer, or our family members have to suffer, we have to keep that healthy perspective and see that God is just, and even be able to appreciate the beauty of whatever little beauty exists in our little world while we're going through tough, challenging times. Shalom.